Margaret Duras, The Dark Room. Opening credits. Pan shot. We move from Highway 12 toward Pontchartrain-Yvelines. We arrive at a square, the truck is there. A 32-ton camion, blue, with a trailer, stopped. A roundabout in an industrial zone of plaisir. Vacant lots all around, trailers. In the distance, JDZ, Joint Development Zone. The truck is there, engine facing us. It starts up. It moves toward us, then cuts across the square. Wheels sweep the screen. The truck disappears. Reappears, circling the roundabout. Disappears. An empty roundabout. The film has started. Industrial zone of Trappes, Yvelines. Sideways tracking, construction sites, slag heaps, shanty towns. Then, through trees, in the distance, Saint-Quentin-en-Yvelines. It would have been a road by the sea. It would have crossed a large barren plain. And then a truck would have arrived. It would have passed slowly across the landscape. A white, wintry sky, also a mist, very light, spread everywhere on the land, the lands. A dark, enclosed space. The curtains are drawn. Lamps are lit. Carpet. Mirrors. It's a living room. Filtered through a white curtain, the light of day. The space has thus been closed to the day. A round table in the center of the place. Two people are there, seated at the table. Gerard Depardieu and Margaret Duras. Manuscripts are on the table. The film story is thus read. They will read the story. What is outside will only be visible after nightfall. During the film, the set will change, but the space will remain the same. It will be the objects, table, lamps that will be moved. But the light will remain the same. The manner of reading as well, the sheets of paper in hand. This place could be called a dark room or reading room. With the exception of the voiceover, the entire film takes place in this space. No stage directions will explain the flow of the music in the film. Any text accounting for the presence should remain absent. Thus, here it is, the dark room is starting. It's a film? It would have been a film. It's a film, yes. The truck would have disappeared and then reappeared. You would have heard the sea, far away but very loud. And then, on the side of the road, a woman would have been waiting. She would have signaled. She would have been approached. A woman of a certain age, dressed as they are in cities. Do you see? Yes, I see. There isn't any shelter around. She carries a suitcase. She climbs into the truck. The truck takes off again, and we leave the seaside. What's the landscape like? It doesn't matter. Le Bus, maybe, towards Chartres. Or maybe the immigrant shanty towns of Yvelines. Industrial zone of Trappes. Sideways tracking. An uninterrupted succession of warehouses, supermarkets, billboards. Trucks passing in the foreground. It's here that she would have begun to look at the landscape. The sea far away. The road. The white sky, the cold. The variety of things. And then she sings. The dark room. We would have seen the cab of the truck. Dark. The driver and the woman who climbed in are silent. Their coming together is arbitrary, disparate. Do you see? Yes, I see. They are facing the road. The road is swallowed by their gazes. There would have been music, and it would have been clear that the music we hear in the film is emitted by the truck's radio. The light outside would have been brighter than the light inside, like snow. The driver and the woman would have watched the light outside for a long time, the road, the barrenness of the soil, of the earth. A dark mass would have been seen in the sleeping area above the seat in the truck's cab. A man, the second driver of the truck. He is sleeping. He would have slept through the whole film. This is the usual state of affairs between the driver and the woman. He is fully caught up in his work, and she is being carried along, yet both are facing the road. Do you see? I see. Both sharing that road, that landscape. Above them, that cold, that empty wintry space. No rehearsal of the text would have been envisioned. Does she speak? She will speak, yes. Who is she? An outcast. Do you see? Yes. The only thing they have in common is a certain violence of the gaze. Facing this emptiness before them, the barren winter, the sea. The silence at the beginning of the film would have represented the first connection between the characters. A distant, almost indifferent, mechanical connection. It would have been a sort of a setting up of a rapport to come. This connection will take place. Maybe never. What do you think? Never. Industrial zone of Trappes. Sideways tracking. Following the first tracking shot, an uninterrupted succession of warehouses, supermarkets, billboards. In the foreground, trucks passing. It's there that she would have started to talk about what she sees outside. She says, so many things to see, so many. We are overwhelmed, don't you think? He doesn't answer. She closes her eyes. She keeps talking. She says, don't think that I'm sleeping. It's the opposite. The dark room. The shooting of the film would have needed to be fast, not at all stretched out over time, dragging. It would have needed not to cost too much. Its very nature would hearken back to the poverty of the means. It came to us in black and white. I read, here is where she's singing for herself alone. She stares straight ahead. Outside, always, the sublime barrenness of the Beauce Hills. Or else, sublime desert of an immigrant land. She speaks. She says, one can't say that they are really hills, but rather a bulging of the earth. Slightly. Look. Like a slight swelling caused by internal pressures. Water, maybe lakes. Looking for a way out. Springs, a way to emerge, to exit in some way. It's striking how the land seems to reverse its natural order everywhere, so that its inside turns into its outside and the other way around. Here, there is still movement, barely visible, but begun. Look, everything is stopped while, at the very moment, when sleep ended. What do you think? Like you, any revolution, impossible. Look, she's speaking again. She says, look, the end of the world. What's she pointing at? She's pointing at the sea. Night, slag heaps, vacant lots in the distance surrounded by the JDZ marked out for immigrants. Not one tree, deserted. At the center of the desert, the supermarket, Auchan, lit up. Several acres meant for retail. She would have pointed at the sea. She says, look, the end of the world. All the time. every second, everywhere. It's spreading. She says, it's better, yes. It was so difficult, so hard. So, it's better this way. It's better. It wasn't worth it, I think. She says, before we already had the sea here. Over there, see? There. He says, you're speaking about what in the end? She says, I'm speaking. She sings. She closes her eyes and sings. The dark room. She would have talked about many things. The geography of the places they passed through, the end of the world, death, the Earth's loneliness in the planetary system, new discoveries about the origin of man. These remarks would never have indicated a precise knowledge of the question at hand. She would have made mistakes, sometimes enormous ones, about science, geography, the latest outer space discoveries. Industrial zone of Verrières, Saint-Quentin-en-Yvelines, sideways tracking, a truck factory, then barren fields, then the forest in the distance. The truck has entered a very busy road. She speaks of Mars. She says, have you seen? There is nothing on the moon, nothing on Mars, Saturn, nothing. Nothing but lifeless earth, aseptic, sterile soil. He says, nothing. On Mars? She says, you're right, I'm mistaken. On Mars they found, she says, rocks and wind. She says, it's the new political predicament of man. He asks, rapport with God? She says, yes. Rapport with the void. Look. The dark room. How do you think it will end? It may have already ended. Image of the two of them listening to the music, Diabelli's theme. They are waiting for the music to stop. So you were saying that it was a truck by the sea? Yes, that's it. A light mist spread out everywhere. Yes, land, the road. It crosses a barren plain, and the truck passes. What? That's right. That's it. That's it. The truck crosses everything. The sea, we can hear it. The noise of the sea, far away, loud. Terrible, yes, terrible. The wind. No one can resist the wind. What is she saying? The woman who has climbed into the truck. She says, let the world meet its end. That's the only politics. Let the world meet its end. That's the only politics. That's it. Identical recently built buildings stream by JDZ of Plaisir, Yvelines. White, uniform, triangular balconies. In the distance, the slag heaps of IZ, industrial zone, pedestrian crosswalk, stopping, nothing, turning, then, straight ahead, nothing. She says, what, again, this woman? She says, all is in all, everywhere, all the time, at the same time. End of traveling shot, end of crosswalk. Everywhere, all the time, at the same time. It's there, in front of us, on the screen. That's what I think. He asks, what screen? She says, there, before us. The road. The dark room. She keeps speaking. She says, we'll never get there. Where? Well, Do you agree? Never? He agrees with the unspoken words. That is to say, maybe you're right. She says, that's so terrible, so hard. That's the word, I think. Yes, I think. Do you want a cigarette? That depends, what brand? I only smoke blue Galoises. And you? Me? Stuyvesant. Look, it's a question of habit. That's true. Industrial zone of Trappes. Sideways tracking, slag heaps, cement mixers, buildings under construction, gaping holes. Then through the trees, Saint-Quentin, en Yvelines, in the distance. It's there that she would have started to talk about herself. There that she would have started to say she recognizes. She recognizes what she sees, this road, this region, these houses, these people, this existence, this color, this cold. He speaks. He says, you're lying. No one has ever lived here. She says, that's true, but he repeats, you're lying. She stops talking. The dark room. She says what? The woman. She says the words proletariat, working class. She says, now they know what to call their exploiters, their oppressors, reading, writing. Before, they knew neither how to read nor to write. Now they know how to read and write. Their knowledge about their own fate is considerable. Yes, their knowledge about themselves is considerable. She says, what progress? Stationary, stunning, stuck, dead? She says, the proletariat must be abolished, but it refuses to be. Tracking in toward both of them. I was young once. Hiroshima. Yes, she wanted to die of love. She died of love. Yes. And then she lived. She waited for 10, 20, 30 years, 100 years. She lived. Who is she? Who? The woman from the truck. An outcast. That's the only information. Why is she crying? The love story, which apparently she had. Her body was his body, indistinguishable day and night from her own. The love story with whom? 2 billion men. Was she wrong? No. These are the mistakes of youth, of intelligence. It was ages ago, I guess. One could not yet know what lay hidden behind the light of the words, revolution, class war, the dictatorship of the proletariat. The light is darkened. Yes, one can no longer read, one can no longer see. One could not know before going there that it would be empty. Before you've done a thing, how can you know it wasn't worth doing? Without having been there, can anyone really know? No. What is the truck doing? Do you see it? Yes, I see it, tireless. That's right. It would advance, move forward. Yes. All the time. It would cross many regions, the whole earth. Yes. It would go along the sea as well. Oceans. Tireless, yes. It's what would carry us. Yes. Look at its route, its tracks like writing, indecipherable and clear. It's blue. It's blue. Blue, yes. Yes. Road toward Montfort-la-Mairie. Field, mist, cold. In the distance, wheat crops. There's the truck. It's visible from a distance. It moves away, crosses the screen. She talks about trips she supposedly went on to places that all look the same. She says, it doesn't depend on the place or on anything else. He doesn't ask what depends on what, so she answers for him. She says, I was talking about how to pass the time. She would have also talked about a city she supposedly lived in as a child, far from the French countryside, tropical. She says, there's a river. She says she remembers it with stunning precision. He wouldn't have asked what city, so she would have spoken about other cities, of several other cities. She would have said, my head is filled with vertigo and screams, full of wind. Then, sometimes, for example, I write pages, you see, or else I sleep. The dark room. Where would she be going? Meaning, perhaps he would ask. She would give him a direction toward the sea, it seems. Would he answer the direction is his? He would barely answer. He's not interested in her. The principal goal of the film has been achieved. They are locked together in the same place, the cab of the truck. The driver and the woman of the truck. He doesn't ask her who she is. No, he doesn't ask himself who she is. He doesn't ask anything. He has nothing to do with the woman of a certain age. His habits are precise. They are discriminating. A woman of a certain age is not interesting. Forest, white with frost. Then the wheels of the truck rolling. Then the truck's cab empty. Then the bridge of Verrières, industrial zone. She's speaking again. She says, what are you transporting? I don't know. Packages already done up, ready for shipping. Where to? I don't know. Verrières. She says, funny, the products, the people, it all piles up everywhere, and from time to time it all leaves. It goes away, goes outside. It will make other stories. The dark room. What is she doing waiting in the road? Several explanations would have been possible. She could have gone from one place to another for personal reasons. For example, her car is broken down and she needs to rejoin her family. The place is deserted. She stops the first passing car. Well, nothing. Nothing to do. She's traveling. When she climbs into the truck, is the goal then attained? Yes. Given the fact that they are enclosed in the same place for a while, locked up, you see, locked up in the same place for a while, the primary goal is achieved. They see the same landscape at the same time from the same space. The difference between them would have been the point of the film, and their confinement inside the truck's cab, the primary space. Between him and her, the driver and the woman, what would have happened? She would have spoken from time to time during the trip, you see. of the countryside, of the wind, of recent scientific discoveries, of how difficult transportation is in that region, of a child called Abraham, of love, she would have suddenly said, "There is no story outside of love." Was anything asked of her? No. But see, she would have been somewhat incoherent, making her points in a rambling way. Would it have been a film about love? Yes, about everything. It would have been a film about everything at the same time, about love. Side road, wheat crops. In the distance, a truck can be spotted. It crosses the screen. The dark room. I see them shut up in the cab as if threatened by the outside light. It seems as if you and I too are threatened by the very same light, which they fear, afraid that all of a sudden the truck's cab, the dark room, may be inundated by a stream of light, you see, afraid of catastrophe, political intelligence. An activist is someone who has no doubts. That's it. Inspired by specific demands that are supposed to better his lot, all material in nature. Material. Yes, better lodgings, easier transportation, cheaper vacations, that's the main goal of his struggle. Would he have spoken about it? The driver? No. He would have thought it was not worth talking. She would have spoken all alone most of the time. Does he see her? No. He sees nothing. He is caught between two affiliations. He only sees according to them. And forgetting to tell you, she would have been subjected to that omnipotence, that rule by class posited as deciding the fate of all other classes, when she was young, and then also after. Would their alienation have been equal? Yes, because of that, it would have been equal. The latest avatar of the supreme savior, the proletariat. She'd believed it. A sacred god, the proletariat. She'd believed it. No one has the right to question the proletariat's responsibility. She'd believed it. The responsibility of the activist should never be called into question again. That would mean risking blasphemy against the working class. She'd believed it. No one dares anymore to call into question the responsibility of the working class. Blasphemy. She hadn't dared for a long time. And then one day she saw the complicity between the owners and the workers, their identical fear, their identical goal, their identical politics. The infinite delay of any free revolution, killing the other man in each man, robbing him of his fundamental nature, his own contradiction. And then one day she saw. It was summer. The clowns on the tanks entering Prague. Maybe you remember? These smiling, paint-faced, gently brainless men, these new killers. This result achieved through the collusion between capitalism and socialism. A result they were proud of. For a long time she watched without seeing, and then that day she saw. All anxiety is material in nature. Anxiety belongs to the working class. Only anxiety of a material nature is worth taking into account. The anxiety that belongs to others? Others' anxiety, that's nothing. Class privilege. Listen, she's singing. She closes her eyes and sings. Forest. Pan shot. In the foreground, frozen puddles. Behind, a birch forest, white with frost. At the end of the pan shot, a road. The truck. It drives along the edge of the forest, crosses the screen very slowly. You can hear the sea, far away, loud. And then she would have spoken of other towns, of many other towns, as far away. Between the vineyards, caught between vineyards and rivers, other rivers, she would have said she remembers them less precisely. He doesn't ask which ones. She sings. She closes her eyes, sings. The dark room. She speaks. She tells the driver, "You're from the French Communist Party." He tells her, "That's none of your business." "That's right." She tells him, "You know, Karl Marx? That's all over." She always says the first names. Marcel Proust, Pierre Corneille, Leon Trotsky, Karl Marx. Some kind of obsession. He's looking at her. Yes, it's true. For the first time. It would seem so, yes. What is he thinking? What is he saying? He says, "I get it. You're a reactionary." What's her answer? Nothing. She laughs. Then he says, "I get it. You've escaped from the psychiatric asylum of Gauchy." That's it. Gauchy. She doesn't understand? Yes, she does, yes. She answers, "Ah, so you know it. Did you see? They've enlarged the buildings along the river on the south side where it slopes down. That's good. On the north side it looks out on the forest. It had to be done. It had been too small for some time." He asks, "Are you into politics?" "That's it. That's right." She answers, "No, nothing. I'm not into anything. I've never been into anything." Side road. The county of Chauvenay-Ebelin. Wheat fields. No text. The truck appears in the distance, disappears on a slope, crosses the screen. The dark room. She could also go see her daughter, who has just given birth. She says, "Imagine, my daughter gave birth and my car broke down on the very day I had to leave. A boy. The birth wasn't too bad. On that day, my nephew had to meet his brother who lives in the same area as my daughter does. So I told myself I could leave with him. But we missed each other by an hour. It didn't work out. What then? Well, I took the train to meet my sister right away without telling her in advance. And of course, when I arrived, no one was there. No one. A neighbor told me my sister had gone to see a friend and would only be back that night. Then I decided to stop the first passing car. My sister lives in the middle of nowhere. There is only one train a day and it comes at an impossible hour. I did try to call her, but the operators told me that the local phone lines were down because of a storm. That often happens on the coast. The wind, you see. There is a huge plateau. Nothing stops the wind. Nothing. Not one tree. It's barren. The trees are uprooted by the wind, or twisted, lying on the ground as if massacred. She sings. She says, "Excuse me, I sing because I'm happy on the account of the child, you see. Forgive me, please. I have to tell you also that I'm always somewhat confused. I've never been able to put my ideas in order, to follow an idea without noticing another on its way. Oh, but you don't have to listen to me. After all, that's what they say in my circle. Don't listen to her. See, but it's not all the time. I sometimes say more consistent things, according to the people around me, more serious things. I also sometimes go silent for a long time. Yes. To tell the truth, it creeps up on me just like it does on everyone else. Speaking, going silent, being sad or full of joy. But without any order, it seems that what people around me don't like, it's a mental disorder. But you see, I could answer, after all, that my lack of a given logic doesn't mean I don't have a logic of my own. They call me overly self-centered. You must have heard the term. It's used all the time. The idea is that it's offensive. It's something one says of children. Too self-centered. He is too self-centered. She is too self-centered. I think the child is called Abraham. I hope this won't be bad for him. My daughter wanted to call him that. Her husband didn't really agree. He said he was afraid for the child, for its future, simply because it would bear this name. She insisted. Her husband said that they had to forget all those names, those Jewish words. He said that naming a child Abraham encouraged the worst collective psychosis, all the pogroms and discrimination. My daughter didn't budge. She called her child Abraham. Her husband is from the French Communist Party, which says it all. He was afraid they would call him a racist if he called his son Abraham. He was afraid. He said he saw no point in calling a child such a name, a non-Jewish child. I have to tell you that we are not Jews, no, or Arabs, neither Arabs nor Jews. My daughter thinks that poetry is the most shared thing in the world, along with love and hunger. She's always talking about a counter-knowledge that supposedly intervenes in us and is rejected at each moment. But in vain, she says. Fortunately, according to her, because otherwise we would have to wait for the death of the dead. I think she's talking about her husband. The birth was rather painful, but the child didn't suffer. She sings. Night, going down a side road in Evelyn. In the distance, the immigrant housing project of Plaisir. Compact, uniform. One among others, among thousands of others in the world, lit up. She would have said she knows she doesn't exist. She carries in herself a certain inner proof of this. She says, how should I put this? Interior proof? Inner? She says, it happened when I was there. He says, you're lying. She grows silent. The dark room. What's she crying about? She isn't crying anymore. She's closing her eyes. Does he see her? No. He only sees if he's ordered to see. He doesn't see anything on his own anymore. What does she see? 2 continents, quite clearly, both alone. The sea has become very dark. A curfew has been imposed for after sunset. At night there is nothing. The forest has reached the fortress walls. Between the continents, the ocean, its vastness. Between the continents, nothing. Before the sea, tanks, monitoring the void. She thinks of little Abraham. Trap, switchyard, trains, freight cars, trains, sideways tracking, overcast sky, white, trains, trains. She says she had children, a life, once in some unspecified time, fed them, but is confused about the number, the places, the dates. Abraham, Abraham. She keeps talking about him, but no one knows him. A child she must have invented. Jewish? A Jewish child? Invented? The dark room. What time is it? It's early. It's still light. The truck? It rolls on. It's getting closer. All the time. Do you have a cigarette? No. Are you tired? No. No? We've almost finished reading. We'll start again. Yes. At a certain point, the driver will also stop at a truck stop and eat a sandwich. She watches him very carefully as he eats, and she talks to him about his hands. She tells him, "I couldn't bear it if a man touched me with hands like that. So worn out, so dirty. Never, never." He laughs. Yes. He says, "That's a good one." Yes, that's right. Then he looks at his hands. And then she says, "You know, personally, I think Karl Marx is over." And then she starts singing again. She closes her eyes. She sees things behind her eyes. The end of the world. He tells her, "Hey, are you really from the psychiatric asylum of Gauchy?" She doesn't answer. He says, "Where are you coming from? Really?" That's it. She doesn't answer. He says, "I need to know. I have the right to know. I even have the right to ask for your ID." She cries? No, she still doesn't cry. He says, "Was there nothing when you climbed in? Nothing as far as the eye could see?" "Well then, who are you?" He waits for the answer. He waits for the answer. "Yes," she answers. "I don't know how to answer. Your logic escapes me. If I'm being asked who I am, I get confused." He says, "Ah, I suspected as much." Side road toward Chauvenet. Upward slope. Empty wheat fields. The truck far away. It crosses the screen. She says, "I can begin to love. To love you. To love. At any moment. To cry, to love. Abraham or you. Everything. Or nothing. Nothing. The dark room. It's there that she asks to get out of the truck. Deep in the countryside. Not a single house. She wants to get out and she screams. Is she afraid? Of what? Maybe of being taken back to the psychiatric asylum in Gauchy. He tells her, "Really, you have to know what you want." That's right. She says she doesn't know. In the film, someone would have said, "She's like that. Every night she stops cars and trucks, and then she tells her life to whomever's around. Every night she tells her story for the first time. She is more or less listened to, but she couldn't care less." What would she be like? What is she like? Short, skinny, gray, banal. She's the nobility of banality. She's invisible. Plaisir, night. Industrial zone around the supermarket. Auchan. Deserted. Zones of concentrated construction. parking lot for immigrant workers. In the middle, a champ, a place for picking up paychecks and work. Someone would have said that, yes. Someone would have said that. She's like that. Every night she stops cars, trucks, and then tells her story for the first time. For instance, a waitress in a truck shop at nightfall who would have recognized her, or someone who uses the route regularly would have recognized her. She wouldn't have known that they talked about her. The dark room. Abraham. Where is Abraham? She speaks of him always, but no one knows him. She gets out in the middle of the plain. She says one more word and then she gets out. Highway 12, light traffic, the truck nearby. It comes from a side road, goes toward Highway 12. It crosses and gets lost in the flow of traffic. She would have said one last word. She would have said she's been wrong all her life, cried when she should have laughed, laughed when she should have cried, cried when she should have cried. She also says, let the world meet its end. Let it meet its end. The dark room. She would have gotten out in the middle of the plain. He would have let her get out. And then he would have taken off. Nothing more would be known about her. They couldn't have existed except in relation to each other. The story, therefore, has ended. Side road between Neuf-le-Vieux and Cetoy-Eveline. Very light traffic, tracking in. View of the road surrounded by wheat fields. Then the truck, seen on the same road. Wheat fields, stripped. The truck crosses the screen, far away at first, then up close. It disappears. This happened years ago, in ancient times. One could not know yet what was to be found behind the light of the words. The light of the words has darkened. We can no longer read, we can no longer see anything. Nothing. Revolution, class warfare, dictatorship of the proletariat. Nothing. It's a hill, a slight slope, the forest. The sky above is clear, naked. Summer, no wind. The sun is very strong, still, burning. The dominant color is a dark green yellowed by heat, sold in the air. There is the sea. End of the tracking shot. One can see the park beyond the bushes. It is almost night. The silhouette of a tree is outlined against the clear sky. To its left, an arc light directed towards the dark room. The ground cracked by drought. It's summer. Very slowly, a truck moves through the scene, and then it disappears. It leaves behind the crackle of thorny bushes. It's the force of the wind caused by the weight of the truck that makes the dead summer plants crackle. The truck has disappeared. We are waiting for the accident that will populate the forest. There is the sound of it passing. We don't know of whom or what. And then it stops.